So today, we're going to talk about how you can take control of one of your body's most important numbers. This isn't just about reading a monitor. It's about actually empowering yourself to change what you see on that screen.
Let me just start by asking you this. What if the very tools you need to improve your health, well, what if they're already within your grasp? It's a really powerful idea, and it's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
Okay, so before we dive into the solutions, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. Blood pressure. It's literally the force of your blood pushing against your artery walls as it moves through your body. A good way to think about it is like water pressure in a hose. That top number, the systolic, that's the pressure when your heart is actively beating. And the bottom number, diastolic, is the pressure when your heart rests between beats. The sweet spot we're aiming for is somewhere around 120/80.
So why do we care so much about this? Well, when that pressure is consistently over 140/90, that's what doctors call hypertension, and they call it a silent threat for a reason. You might not feel a single thing, but over time, that constant, extra force can cause real damage to your heart, your kidneys, even your brain. But here's the good news, it is absolutely manageable.
So how do we start managing it? I want you to think of your body as having three main control levers. Right? These are things you can physically adjust to directly influence your blood pressure. The fuel you put in your body, the way you move your body, and the load your body has to carry.
We're going to tackle these one by one. First up, we'll talk about the fuel. Then we'll get into motion. And finally, we'll cover how to lighten the overall load on your heart.
Out of all three of those levers, your diet is probably the most powerful one. When it comes to blood pressure, the absolute gold standard that doctors recommend is something called the DASH diet. And that just stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It's not really a strict, crazy diet. It's more like a common-sense, sustainable way of eating.
And the results can be, they can be incredibly fast. Studies have shown that people can drop their systolic blood pressure, that top number, by as much as 11 points in just a couple of weeks. Think about that. That's a huge change, and it's all without a single prescription.
So what does this actually look like in real life? It's way simpler than you'd think. First, just try to cut back on processed packaged foods, because that's where all the hidden sodium is. Second, start loading up on potassium-rich foods. Think bananas, spinach, avocados. Potassium actually helps your body get rid of excess sodium. And finally, just be a little more mindful of the salt you add yourself, aiming for less than a teaspoon a day.
All right, on to our second lever, motion. You got to start thinking of exercise as medicine for your heart and blood vessels. And you don't have to go out and run a marathon. Just 30 minutes a day of moderate activity, a brisk walk, a bike ride, maybe some swimming, can lower your blood pressure by up to 8 points. Really, the secret here is just being consistent.
And that brings us to our third physical lever, lightening the load. It's pretty simple, really. When you're carrying extra weight, your heart has to work that much harder to pump blood everywhere. But here's the really encouraging part. You don't have to lose a ton of weight to see a difference. Losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight can have a really dramatic, positive effect on your blood pressure.
Okay, so we've covered the big physical levers, but that's only half the story. Now, we're going to shift our focus inward, to your mind and the daily habits that really shape your health. We're talking about how you handle stress, how well you rest, and a couple of other key lifestyle choices.
Let's just take a second to look at what stress is physically doing to your body. When you're stressed out, your system gets flooded with hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart starts pounding and your blood vessels literally tighten up. Now look at the other side. When you're calm, the exact opposite happens. Your heart rate slows down, your blood vessels relax. It's easy to see how being stuck in that stress state all the time keeps your body in a high-pressure zone.
So the goal isn't to get rid of stress. That's impossible. The goal is to manage your reaction to it. And a simple 5-minute ritual can make all the difference. Try some deep belly breathing, or take a moment to meditate or pray. Even just a short, quiet walk and leave the phone behind can be enough to break that stress cycle. Next up, let's talk about two huge lifestyle factors. Now, both alcohol and smoking are bad for blood pressure, but they work in different ways. Too much alcohol can actually increase the amount of blood in your system, and it can damage your artery walls over time. Smoking, though, has an immediate effect. It constricts your arteries right away and forces your heart to work harder with less oxygen.
If you smoke, this quote says it all, doesn't it? The benefits of quitting start almost instantly. Within just 20 minutes, your heart rate and blood pressure already start to come down. So yeah, the second best time to quit is right now.
Now for a tool that is so underrated when it comes to blood pressure, sleep. When you don't get enough good sleep, your stress hormones go up and it just throws your whole body out of whack. Creating a simple little bedtime ritual can be a game changer. Try to put away the screens an hour before bed, make your room cool, dark, and quiet, and try to go to bed around the same time every night. It's incredibly powerful.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most critical lever. All these changes are fantastic, but how do you know if they're actually working? This is where you go from just hoping for the best to actively taking control of your own health.
You've probably heard this saying before, and it is so true for your health. If you're not tracking your blood pressure, you're pretty much just flying blind, right? Getting an affordable home monitor and just checking your numbers regularly lets you see the patterns and understand what's really moving the needle for you. Take a look at this number, 140/90. That's the clinical line in the sand for hypertension. It's the point where doctors start to get really concerned about the long-term strain on your body.
So what does this number mean to you, personally? Is it maybe a wake-up call? Or does it just confirm something you kind of already knew? Or maybe it's just a reminder to stay on top of things. Knowing your numbers, whatever they are, is always the very first step to owning your health.
Okay, and this is super important. These lifestyle changes are incredibly powerful, but they are a partner to your medical care, not a replacement for it. If your readings are staying high, or if you have other things going on like diabetes or kidney issues, you absolutely have to work with your doctor. They're the ones who can help figure out if medication is also needed to protect you in the long run.
We have covered a ton of ground. The what, the why, and the how. But information is just information. The real power is in actually doing something. So let's dial it all back and focus on the very first step you can take today.
So here it is, all laid out. 7 proven natural strategies. Look, you do not have to do all of these at once. Think of this like a menu of options you can choose from to build a healthier life. Every single one is a valuable tool you can put in your toolkit.
So, we'll end with this simple question. Don't feel like you have to completely overhaul your life by tomorrow. That's not how this works. Just focus on one thing. What is the one small, totally manageable change you can commit to starting today? Maybe it's just taking a 10-minute walk after dinner, or swapping that bag of chips for a banana. The choice is yours. And the power to start? Well, it's in your hands right now.